If you or some you care about is 60 or older and living in the United States right now, I need you to completely stop whatever you are doing. Block out all distractions, put down your phone, and give me your full, undivided attention for the next 20 minutes. What I am about to lay out for you is not just another new report. This is an absolute financial survival guide for the month of June 2026. Right now, as we speak, a massive wave of confusion is hitting millions of kitchen tables across America. Seniors are logging in their bank accounts, looking at their monthly statements, and realizing that something is completely, noticeably off with their money. Some of you are looking at your deposits right now and seeing significantly less cash than you calculated. Others are looking ahead at the calendar and realizing they are about to receive two separate checks in a single month, leaving them terrified that the government just made a massive clerical error that they'll have to pay back. And tragically, hundreds of thousands of retirees are completely oblivious to the fact that real, approved state-level cash checks are sitting in state treasuries right now, waiting to be claimed. If you don't know exactly what is causing these wild shifts in your income, or if you make a single wrong, assumption before the hard, strict deadlines hitting on June 30th, that money is gone just like that. The state keeps it, the system locks you out, and you are left holding the bag. Stay with me for this entire breakdown. We are going to go deep. We are going to strip away all the complex bureaucratic jargon and translate exactly what is happening to your money into plain, simple English. I will walk you through the hidden deductions, the calendar traps, and the secret state programs. More importantly, near the end of this talk, I am going to expose a single silent mistake that 90% of seniors are making right now. A mistake that is quite draining hundreds of dollars from their wallets every single month without them ever realize it. Let's get straight into hard facts. Here is our strategic roadmap for the next 20 minutes so you can see exactly where we are heading. First, we are going to crack open the mystery of the shrinking Social Security check and show you the real culprits behind why your raise vanish. Second, we are going to dissect the July double payment phenomena, a massive calendar quirk that is setting an income trap for millions of households. Third, we will explore the hidden goldmine of state-level property tax and rent relief, highlighting massive checks that require your signature before June 30. And finally, we will hand you the exact step-by-step blueprint you need to deploy today to audit your benefits and take back your financial peace of mind. Get ready, because we are diving deep right now. Part 1. The mystery of the shrinking check. Let's start with the single most common source of anger, frustration, and confusion across the nation this month. To truly understand why your money feels tighter despite everything you've been promised, I want to tell you a quick story about a retiree named Mary from Ohio. Mary is 68 years old. She worked for over 35 years as a dedicated school administrative assistant. She lives on a fixed income, meaning everything in her budget is mapped out down to the exact penny. Gas, electricity, bread, milk, she knows what everything costs. Now, rewrite your mind back to the beginning of this year. Mary, along with over 7 million Americans, received some seemingly fantastic news from the federal government. The Social Security Administration announced a 8% cost of living adjustment, or CORA, for Mary, whose monthly benefits sat right around the national retirement average of $281. That 8% raise was supposed to mean an extra $56 hitting her account every single month. $56 might not sound like a fortune to a politician in Washington, but to Mary, that was an extra week of groceries. That was the ability to buy fresh produce instead of canned goods. She celebrated, she adjusted her budget for it. But fast forward to this month, Mary logs in her online banking app to check her June deposit, and her jaw drops. The extra $56 isn't there. In fact, Her check looks almost identical to what it did last year. Her net increase was barely enough to cover a couple of gallons of gas. Mary immediately felt that sick, sinking feeling in her stomach. She thought her bank made a mistake. She thought about calling the Social Security Administration, picturing her sitting on hold for 3 agonizing hours just to speak to a representative. Here is what Mary and millions of seniors just like her did not realize. The system is designed so that the government often gives with one hand while silently clawing it back with the other. At the exact same time that the 8% COLA raise was approved, an entirely separate government entity pushed through a massive hike on Medicare Part B premiums. The standard month premium for Part B didn't just crawl up. It leaped from $85 all the way up to $2.90 a month. Think about that math for a second. That is a premium hike of $10.09. That is nearly a 10% increase on your healthcare premium, completely eclipsing the 8% raise you were given to fight inflation. And because Medicare Part B premiums are legally and automatically deducted from your Social Security benefit before the money ever hits your checking account, a massive paying chunk of Mary's COLA raise vanished into thin air before she ever saw a dime. Her real, actual net increase was only around $38. This isn't a one-time fluke, folks. This marks the 3rd consecutive year in our current economy that Medicare premium increases have aggressively outpaced the cost of living adjustment. Organizations like the Senior Citizens League have been shouting this from the rooftops, calling it exactly what it is: a consistent, devastating erosion of older Americans' purchasing power. You are taking one step forward, only for the system to push you 2 steps back. But the mystery deepens for another segment of retirees. Let me introduce you to George from Florida. George is 63 years old. He decided to take his retirement benefits early because his body was tired after decades of blue-collar labor. But as prices kept climbing at the supermarket, George realized his early retirement check wasn't enough. So he took a part-time job working 3 days a week at a local hardware store. This month, George looked at his Social Security statement and noted his benefit check didn't just stagnate, it actively shrank. George was completely blindsided. He had no idea he had just walked directly in the federal earnings limit trap. If you are working while collecting Social Security benefits before you reach your full retirement age, the government imposes a strict limit on how much you are allowed to earn. In 2026, that magic number is $480. Because George was industrious, worked a few extra shifts, and pushed his earnings past that $480 threshold, the Social Security Administration automatically triggered a penalty. For every $2 George earned over that limit, the government clawed back $1 of his retirement benefit. If your check looks smaller, lighter, or completely wrong this month, please understand, it is not a glitch. Your bank didn't lose your money, and nobody hacked your account. This is the system working exactly as it was built to work. The harsh reality is that unless your income is low enough to qualify for a state-run Medicare savings program where the state actively steps in and pays that $2.09 premium on your behalf, this shrunken check is your new normal for the rest of the year. Part 2, the July double payment phenomenon. Now, let's pivot to our second major section, and I need you to brace yourself for this one. This is a bizarre calendar quirk that caused absolute unadulterated panic every few years, especially for recipient of supplemental security income, or SI. To illustrate this, talk about John. John lives in an apartment in Phoenix, Arizona. He receives SI because of a severe medical condition that prevents him from working. John relies on that check arriving on the first of every single month to pay his landlord, buy his medicine, and keep the lights on. June 1st was a Monday. John's check arrived right on time, totally normal, completely unremarkable. But as July rolls around, John is about to experience something that will make his heart race. He is going to look at his bank account and see two separate full SI deposits hit his statement within the exact same calendar month. The first time this happened to a senior, the reaction is almost always the same. They panic. They assume the government made a massive multi-million-dollar administrative glitch. John's first instinct might be to leave that second check completely untouched, terrified that if he spends a single dime of it, the federal government will audit him, slap him with an overpayment penalty, or cut off his benefits entirely next month. If you or a loved one see this happen in July, I am here to tell you right now, take a deep breath. Do not panic. Both of those checks are 100% legally yours to keep, and you do not need to spend 3 hours on hold trying to return the money to the SA. This is not an error. It is a mathematical certainty caused by a strict law embedded in the federal benefits system. By decree of federal policy, the Social Security Administration is legally required to deliver I-funds on the first day of every single month. However, there is a catch. The policy all strictly states that whenever the first of a month falls on a Saturday, a Sunday, or a legal federal holiday, the government can't issue the deposit on that day. Instead, they are legally obligated to push the payment forward to the closest preceding business day. Now, let's pull up the calendar and look at what is happening at the end of next month. August 22/6 falls exactly on a Saturday. Because the federal government and the banking systems do not process standard benefit deposits on Saturdays, your entire full August payment cannot be delivered on August must. It has to be pushed forward, and the closest preceding business day to August must is Friday, July 31st. Let's map out exactly what this looks like for your bank statement so there is absolute zero confusion. On Wednesday, July 1st, you will receive your standard regular receive or side payment to cover your July expenses. Then, you will go through the month as normal. But on Friday, July 31st, a second identical deposit will suddenly land in your account. That second deposit is literally just your August money arriving roughly 24 hours early. But here is the massive, dangerous financial trap that John has to avoid, and you must avoid it at all costs. Because the calendar compressed two payments into a single 3-1-day window, it means that when August rolls around, the entire month of August will have absolute August, zero side deposits hitting your account. None. The mail will be empty, and your bank balance will not see a single penny of federal aid for the entire 31 days of August. The total amount of money you receive from the government for the year hasn't changed by a single cent. You aren't getting a bonus, you aren't getting a stimulus, and you aren't getting extra cash. The government is simply shifting the timeline. If you mistake that July 3 funds deposit for free extra money and spend it on something outside of your core necessities, you are going to face an incredibly long, incredibly dry, and painful August. You must preserve that second check and budget it strictly for August's rent and bills. Part 3, Hidden State-Level Property Tax Relief. Let's transition into our third section, and this is where we turn the corner into some genuinely fantastic news. This has absolutely nothing to do with Washington, D.C., the federal government, or the Social Security Administration. We are talking about massive hidden treasure troves of state-level cash. Right now, as we navigate the summer, several states across the country are actively running massive property tax and rent relief programs. These programs are specifically engineered to inject hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars back in the pockets of seniors who are struggling to survive on fixed incomes. This is real money backed by state laws sitting in state treasuries right now. Yet, the absolute tragedy of this situation is that the vast majority of eligible seniors either have never applied or they have absolutely no idea these programs even exist. They assume that their property taxes are just a permanent, unfixable drain on their retirement. Let me give you a concrete example of how this works. Think of a senior couple living in Pennsylvania. Let's call them Robert and Linda. They own a modest home that they paid off years ago, but the local school and property taxes keep creeping up every single year, eating away at their small retirement nest egg. Pennsylvania runs an incredibly robust program called the Property Tax and Rent Rebate. For eligible homeowners and renters aged 65 and older, this program delivers a direct cash rebate of up to $1,000. Think about what $1,000 in direct relief means to a senior household right now. But here is the critical, terrifying catch for Robert and Linda. This program has an incredibly strict, unforgiving deadline. That deadline is June 30th. If June 30 passes and their paper isn't stamped and submitted, the window slams shut. The state quietly absorbs that money back in the general fund, and Robert and Linda lose out on unbound dollars that was legally theirs for an entire calendar year. It's the exact same story if you move over to New Jersey. The state of New Jersey is currently rolling out its massive Anchor program payouts. If you are an eligible senior homeowner in New Jersey, this program doesn't just hand you a minor discount. It provides a massive cash payout of up to $1,500. And even if you are a renter age 65 or older, you aren't left out. The state provides up to $7 in direct relief to help offset the cost of rent. If you look up north to New York, the Hand Start program provides massive, sweepy property tax reductions directly on school tax bills for seniors with modest incomes. And June is the critical, vital time of year when local assessors lock in these rolls. If your enrollment status isn't verified, your taxes skyrocket next season. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Well, I don't live in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, or New York, so this doesn't apply to me. Please, do not tune this out. That assumption is a massive mistake. Dozens of states, from California to the Carolinas, run incredibly similar senior tax exemption, freeze, or rebate programs. Some states call them home circuit breaker programs, but they all do the exact same thing. They return real money to senior on fixed incomes. And almost all of them have application deadlines scattered throughout these exact summer months. Part 4. The mistake that costs seniors everything. This brings us to the final, most critical part of our deep dive today. I promised you I would reveal the single biggest mistake that costs seniors their financial peace of mind. And here it is, the fatal assumption of automation. The vast majority of older Americans look at the massive machinery of the government and assume that if they were entitled to something, the system would just take care of it. They think, if the state owed me a $1,500 property tax rebate, they have my tax records, they know my age, they would just send me a check. If I qualify for a program that wipes out my Medicare deduction, the Social Security deduction would just talk to the Medicomputer and fix it automatically. I am here to tell you as a blunt, honest truth, the system does not work that way. The bureaucracy of the government is segmented, clunky, and slow. The Social Security Administration does not come knocking on your door to hand you extra money. Your state treasury is not going to track you down to give you a property tax rebate. Every single one of these relief packages, whether it is a state tax rebate, a Medicare savings program, or an adjustment to your benefit calculation, requires you to actively put your hand up, file the paperwork, and demand what you are legally owed. If you sit back and wait for the system to do it for you, the system will gladly keep your money forever. Another massive layer to this mistake is accepting a simple no as a permanent answer. Thousands of seniors apply for a program, get a confusing denial letter in the mail, feel discouraged, and throw it in the trash. They assume that if they were refused once, they are banned forever. Never make that assumption. Thresholds change every single year. Income limits are adjusted for inflation every January. An administrative rule that disqualified you in the past might have been completely rewritten for 22.6. Further, administrative errors happen constantly. Clerks miscue data, W-2 forms get lost in transmission, and income records get glitched. You always have the legal right to challenge an incorrect ruling, ask for reconsideration, or simply reapply under new current guidelines. So, here is your direct action blueprint as soon as we are done today. This is your financial homework, and it requires less than 30 minutes of your time. Step 1. Open up your internet browser on your computer or tablet. Go to your search engine and type in the name of your specific state, followed by the exact phrase, Senior Property Tax Relief. Hit search, look closely at the results, and ignore the advertisements. Find the official state government websites, the ones that end strictly in .gov, .gov. Click on them, read the eligibility age and income thresholds, and check the deadlines. If you see that a June 30th cutoff is approaching, download the forms or call your local county assessor's office immediately. Step 2. 10 minutes to official website sa.gov and log in your personal secure social security account. If you haven't created one, build one. Once you are in, pull up your lifetime earnings record. This is the master list of exactly how much the government thinks you earned every year of your career. Cross-reference it with your own memory and old tax records. If you spot a year that says 0 or looks drastically lower than what you actually earn, that administrative typo is permanent suppression your month check. Collect your old tax returns and file for a correction immediately. At the end of the day, knowledge is only valuable if you actually possess the courage to act on it. If a tiny administrative glitch in a government database is quietly draining $100 from your check every single month and a missed local deadline is costing you $1,500 in state property tax relief, ask yourself, how much is your hesitation to verify your information costing you today? The ball is entirely in your court now. Take control of your retirement. Audit your statements. Reissue your state's local relief programs. And take back your financial peace of mind. If you found this breakdown clear, honest, and helpful, please take a moment to share it with a friend, a neighbor, or a family member who might be approaching these deadlines. The most vulnerable seniors in our communities are often the ones who live alone, don't watch digital updates, and are the least likely to know these programs exist. We have to look out for each other. Thank you so much for listening. Stay vigilant with your budget and take charge of your hard-earned money today.